Hi, I'm Richard from Electric Classic Cars, and in this week's episode, sponsored by Mouser Electronics and Microchip, it's all about the gorgeous Karmann Ghia, or more specifically, about our new bolt-in electric conversion kit for the Karmann Ghia. Let's get into it. Now, for regular viewers of the channel, you'll know this is the most important build we've ever done because it's my wife's Karmann Ghia. But it's taken a while because what we've done is we've designed a repeatable bolt-in kit around this. We could have just dived straight into it, converted it, and ta-da, there you go, and got loads of brownie points. But it's been delayed because we've got to have a repeatable kit built around this Karmann Ghia. And this, if you ask me, is the most beautiful Volkswagen they ever produced. I love my Beetles and buses, but the Karmann Ghia, I mean, just look at that. Look at the lines of it. But the one problem this car always has, or had, it never went as good as it looked. But we have sorted that out. So we've been converting VW Beetles for 10 years. In fact, the very first car I ever converted was a 1966 Beetle. So initially I was thinking we'll probably just use our very well developed Volkswagen Beetle kit. Click on the link above if you want to see more information on that. Because if you have a look inside, if you come closer, Tim, have a look. That, for all you Volkswagen guys, that is essentially a Beetle floor pan in there. And if you come around the front, anybody that knows their Beetles, if you have a look in there, this just looks like the same as a Beetle front end. You've got your fuel tank here, you've got your beam on the front, and effectively, I'd say 90% of the basis of the car is Volkswagen Beetle. But there was a lot more than we thought, a lot of very important differences, which meant we had to pretty much change most of the Beetle kit to make it fit in the Karmann Ghia. So in the front we effectively copied the Beetle kit because the fuel tank area is pretty much the same really. Obviously the low voltage loom, the high voltage loom had to completely change because of lengths and routings if you like. But the main biggest change we had to do is in the rear battery pack, because in a Beetle behind the back seat you've got quite a high luggage area where the battery box in the rear can kind of like sit vertically. But in the Karmann Ghia, no such luck. So we had to essentially take that Beetle battery pack and what I thought would be really simple, just put it flat so that we can fit it in here. That was that was the idea, but we had to do quite a lot of changes to make it fit in here because in the Beetle, where the high voltage and low voltage plugs come out, was then not feasible. So we ended up making a complete different new rear battery pack that went in here. But in the rear, in the motor side of things, that's again pretty much the same. So in the rear here, as I say, it's pretty much a Beetle kit cradle with the Tesla small drive unit rear that goes in here. Excuse this, by the way, this is a bit of R&D we're doing with a different motor at the moment. But yeah, normally what would sit in there is that Beetle cradle and Tesla motor. But you'll notice in the Karmann Ghia, you've got much wider rear arches or haunches, if you like, that we can put stuff into. And also, the other thing that's different, we got actually what's the same is we've got the charger here, but what's different is we can put the header tanks for the coolant system for the motor and the battery pack in here because we just got more space in this area here. The other thing is behind me here in this rear wheel arch we can put a big high voltage junction box which also acts as the charge socket, and I'll explain why in a minute. So in our niche world of EV conversions, this is the latest and greatest technology, if you like. But in the OEM automotive world, there's a company called Microchip who are on the cutting edge of EV technology. Now, before we continue, I just want to say a massive thank you to today's episode sponsor, Microchip Technology. Now, it might not be a name that you recognize, but their innovative technologies are the building blocks that you will find in the electronics components in modern EVs like this Jaguar I-Pace here and the Renault Zoe over there. Now, modern EVs are packed with electronics that manage everything from the battery charging and motor control to safety systems and vehicle communications. And Microchip develops the semiconductors and control technologies that help make all of that happen, making electric vehicles more efficient and more reliable and easier to develop. as enthusiasts, we tend to focus on things like the motors and the batteries, but really it's the electronics behind the scenes that is helping to make an EV drive so well and charge efficiently and keep everything working safely together. Now, if you'd like to find out more about this technology that's helping shape the future of EVs, go to the links in the description and there's plenty more information you can find there. Now, on that note, back to the episode. So we've got the complete Karmann Ghia kit here, all mounted onto our universal test stand, so I can take you for a spin in a minute. But before I do, I'm going to give you a little bit of a tour around the kit itself. So we'll start with the big boxes. That's a 42 kilowatt-hour battery pack split between the front box and the rear box. As I already mentioned, this front box here, this mounts into that space there where the fuel tank used to be. And the rear box here, that mounts underneath the rear parcel shelf, if you like, where the old luggage space used to be in there. And then we've got in the rear space the charger, the motor down there you probably can't see, and the high voltage junction box. All that lot there goes in there. But that's not all, because obviously we've got the high voltage wiring loom, the low voltage wiring loom, and all the other bits and pieces, like accelerator pedal, you might need that to make it go, header tanks and bracketry here that make the installation of our bolt-in kit super simple. Now, before I fire up that kit over there and take it for a spin, I just want to spend a little bit of a moment on showing you the depth that we go to as far as developing our kits are concerned, because we cover everything, including cable management. For instance, there's no having to cable tie stuff up. The looms are all done, the lengths are done, the plugs are on, it is all done. But just to show you the detail, I mean, the cables that come through from the rear to the front go through the center spine, the tunnel if you like, and when they come out, that is a plate that goes onto the inspection plate at the front, just between the beams on the front. And then the cables go through there, and then they do a little bit of a back swan neck, if you like. There, this, in fact, goes on the front beam, the top of the beam, and the cables then go through that. So if you imagine that's there, cables come through that, and then go up through here. And then just on the top then is this, which essentially sits where the old fuel tank is and separates the outside from the inside, and then the cables come up through here and here, and this can be flipped over whether or not it's left-hand drive or right-hand drive. And then underneath here is where your DC to DC converter goes, and on top is where the battery pack goes. So we've got all these plates which have been designed for cable management. This goes on the rear, this goes underneath where the old gearbox used to go. And this plate here, for instance, is another differentiator between the Beetle kit and the Karmann Ghia kit, because with the Karmann Ghia, there's a heater knob where the main control box can't really sit in the same place as the Beetle. So this little conversion plate allows us to use our Beetle control box, but just move it slightly. So all these things here shouldn't be underestimated in a bolt-in kit, because this makes life so much easier when you're installing a kit. Now, the problem is, whenever you develop a bolt-in kit and you build them and ship them out all around the world. In fact, this one is going out to our partners in Colorado. Shout out to Nick, Classic EV Conversions out there. So whenever you do that, it's quite difficult to figure out how you're going to test these things to make sure they work before they go in a crate and travel around the world. And that's why we've built our universal test bench. And this test bench here simulates effectively a car. So you've got brake pedal, accelerator, you've got direction knobs, we've got test there so we can see if the reverse light's coming on, if the brake light's coming. Basically, this is a car without the wheels on it. Oh, it has got wheels. Mind of their own wheels, as we found out.
It doesn't handle as well as most cars, does it?
No, it handles about as well as Tim's Toyota FJ Jeep thing. But this is our universal test bench where we test Land Rover kits, Mini kits, Porsche 911 kits, VW kits. All of our kits gets tested on here for whether or not they go forward, backwards, any faults, issues. We simulate problems as well. Charging, we put the charging systems through their pace as well. Coolant systems, everything gets tested on here before they go into a crate and then get shipped out. Right, enough waffle, let's take you guys for a spin. But the first thing I've got to do is put in the service disconnect. There we go, that's in, so that means that everything can become alive now. So that's the high voltage service disconnect, or safety disconnect as some people call it. So now that's in, I can switch the system on and take you for a spin. So we've got the seat out here, I've got my throttle down there, and if I switch the ignition on, if you want to, do you want to film me put the ignition on, Tim? This switch here.
Go on then.
Ready? Go. There we go. You'll hear as the contactors have now closed, so system's now live. So I've got my display here, and this is the control console, if you like, that goes in the center and normally gets bolted in where the old gear stick used to go. So that's got all the information in, from state of charge to how many amps, etc. That means you can keep your original dial on the Karmann Ghia and Beetles, because all that's really on there anyway is the speedo, and that's mechanically driven off one of the front wheels. So you just bolt that in, that's got all the information you need. And also here we've got a direction knob, and if I put it into D for drive, there we go. And if Tim wants to come around the side of me here now, and if you want to zoom in down there on that drive shaft down there, you'll see we should be spinning forward. So if I give it a little bit of throttle,
Give it some beans.
there we go. So that's going forwards. And if I put it into reverse, there we go, that's in reverse. And it should now go in reverse. There we go. And if you come up here, Tim, you'll see the reverse light has come on. Oops, sorry. Reverse light's now on, and if now the brake light's on, I can put it into neutral, reverse light goes out. So all these things we can effectively simulate on the car, and now we've been for a spin. You know, it's a long old journey, it's time to charge up, isn't it?
Yeah, we've done miles, haven't we?
Knackered. Time to have a burger and charge up. So this is our high voltage junction box I mentioned earlier. This sits in the rear left wing of the Karmann Ghia, and it's also the charging socket. Now, why is the charging socket here and not on the outside of the car? I'll give you a second to shout at the screen. It is because there's no external fuel flap on an early 60s Karmann Ghia. Later ones, 70s ones there are. It's the same with the Beetle. So there's no external fuel filler flap. You used to have to lift up the front of the bonnet, if you like, and then fill up with fuel. So we've got high voltage junction box at the back with various different plates that can go on here, from type 1 CCS, type 2 CCS, etc. So this is a modular plate that goes on here. So this customer has got type 1, so if I do that and plug this in, so this is mainly for the US market, and if I plug that in there and go like that, you'll hear, there you go, there's the contactors firing up, and it's now charging. Now, why is it going this way and not, you know, vertically? Oh, there you go. The fan of the charger's just come on. It's now charging up. It's because when you got the boot open this way, the cable wants to come out this way rather than down. So we turn that through 90 degrees. So there we go. It's now charging up. It's worth mentioning, cooling wise, we've actually started to strip this down, ready to go out and get shipped off this week. So we've already done the coolant tests, but essentially what you've got radiators here for the motor and the battery pack, all the coolant lines here, which I haven't got in the box yet. Then you've got your header tank that goes up there onto, this is the battery pump, the motor pump's the other side, but all this has already been tested. So I can't show you this today because it's already got stripped down. Another thing I just forgot to mention as well is the low voltage power distribution package is here. So you've got a 12 volt battery there, MIDI fuses, 12 volt fuses and relays and stuff there. So all this sits underneath the back seat. And if you follow me around here, what sits in the other space underneath the back seat is all the controllers. So we have traction control module, your motor controller, and your VCU sitting underneath the other side of the back seat. Now, all of our kits and conversions are built to a certain international standard called ECE R100 Rev 1, which means it's compliant with things like there's isolation monitoring in there to make sure there's no high voltage leak into the chassis. And I'm not going to go through the details now, but there's one thing I do want to show you, which is little thing here. Now this, for instance, is a buzzer, so that if you've left the vehicle in gear and you've opened up the door, which is easily done in an electric car because they're quiet and you don't know you've done it, so there's a little buzzer that sounds. That's part of R100. But this here, this is an important one. This is an inertia switch, so if there's an impact, you're involved in a crash, or somebody's smashed into you, or for instance with my VW bus that got crashed last year, this is the thing that will detect the G-forces of that crash and shut everything off. Now I want to give you a little bit of a display of this now. So Tim, can you see that the vehicle is on over there? So you can see that dashboard there.
It's all lit up.
And the fault light over there, the fault light is off.
Fault light is off.
Okay, now if I bring my wacky stick, I'm going to simulate a crash, hopefully with enough G-force that it'll trigger. So if I whack this thing now, I'm not sure if that worked or if it was big enough crash, but yeah, I heard the contactors. So the contactors opened and the whole high voltage has been switched off, and now there's a fault light, basically a you cannot drive the car light, that has now come on because now you've been involved in an accident. Did that hurt, Tim?
Didn't feel a thing.
Well, where there's a blame, there's a claim. So that is one of the additional safety features, if you like, that we have on our conversions and kits that is part of the standards that we build to. So there we go. You had a little tour around the Karmann Ghia kit and a little spin up the road and back and put it on charge. So let me know in the comments below if you've got any questions. I should say that although we've got this bolt-in fully reversible conversion kit for the Karmann Ghia, it's not available to the DIYers and the general public. It's available to our partners. Go to our website and our partners page so you can see our partners all over the world. We've got Nick over in Colorado, for instance, and Tom in Scandinavia, etc. So go there if you're interested in a Karmann Ghia conversion using one of our kits, like Nick is doing in Colorado with this one. And just remains for me to thank our sponsor for this week's episode, Microchip and Mauser Electronics. Go to mauser.com for all your electronics needs. And on that note, we'll see you on the next one.